Welcome everyone to another evening of Lord Meher. We are book reading online. We are reading from page 1989 today, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Whoever's there online now and whoever's joining us later. Um, just a second. Yeah. So we're reading about the Blue Bus tours. Baba lovingly bathed and clothed each one, assisted by Eric and Gustaji, then fed them and sent them away by 2 in the afternoon after their departure. Baba had his lunch and commented, "Today's celebration of my birthday was excellent. I wish I could celebrate like this every day. In nothing else do I derive as much pleasure as in serving the masts." Baba also began visiting Chacha at his seat every night for the rest of his stay in Ajmer. He would go with Adi Senior and Kaka at 3:30 a.m. to avoid crowds and contact Chacha in privacy for half an hour. Baba did something unusual in Ajmer, which he had never done before. He kept two masks with him in his own room in the bungalow. Lakhan Shah, could you scroll up so I could read? I, yeah, thank you. Who was on the sixth plane, and Kabaristan Wala, nicknamed Socrates, who was on the fifth plane. Footnote: You're muted, Betty.
Kabristan Wala was nicknamed Socrates as he reminded Baba of the ancient Greek philosopher because of his comic face and short stature.
Thank you. Usually, Baba would work with Mas in a separate room, but Lakhan, Shah, and Socrates were actually staying with Baba in his room. Baba would massage their legs, kiss them, and often embrace them. He would also clean their potties and make every effort to keep them happy and content. Later, they were shifted to the Mandali's quarters, where Baba continued to work with them. When Socrates was asked who was Lakhan Shah, Socrates replied, "Jagannath, Lord Vishnu." When asked the same about Baba, he replied, "Shivanath, Lord Shiva," and he began pressing Baba's feet. When Lakhan Shah was asked to whom he had come, he at once replied, "I have come to the Lord." And when Baba tried to massage his legs very tenderly, the Mast gently murmured, "Master, pray do not do this." Muhammad Mast was staying in a separate room in the same house. When Muhammad was brought to see the new Mast, he would say, "Do this, Dada, Baba wants you to do it." Regarding his work with Mas, Baba once observed, "In my own way, I make love to these lovers of God. They have no consciousness of the world. They are blissful. They are indifferent to physical wants because they have no worldly consciousness. They have in them only love of God. Look at the world. It loves Maya, cries for Maya, begs for more Maya. The world is merged in lust, anger, greed, but these are brave heroes who, by kicking off Maya, live only for the beloved God. One day, when Baba was in a jovial mood, someone asked him, What do you do with the muss? Baba laughed and replied, I love them and they love me. That's all. Baba had mentioned taking the women to Taraghar Hill, but later remarked, to go there is a headache. A planquin will have to be hired for Noni, the oldest in the group, as she will not be able to make the steep climb. Besides the expense, I think it will be difficult for all. Meanwhile, Rano and Kitty talked it over among themselves and then approached Baba, suggesting that he drop the idea of going to Taragar. They explained that he did not have to go so to so much trouble and expense just for them, and that it did not matter if they missed seeing the fort. Baba reprimanded them. If you think I'm doing this for you, you're mistaken. My work comes first, and yours secondary. What care do I have for expenses where my work is concerned? Money, you and everything else are secondary to my work. Rano and Kitty, though they had meant well, retreated in the abashment and realized the truth of Baba's words. On 16th February 1939, Baba went to Taraghar with Gustaji, Chanji, Kaka, Adi Senior, and Eric, and also visited the famous mosque known as 2.5 Days Hut. That evening at 7:30, a Kawadi program was held at the bungalow for an hour. Baba liked the singer Azim Kawal. Baba took the women to Targar 2 days later, where he showed them many sights of interest and spent one night. Baba slept with the men, and the women stayed in a nearby dark bungalow. Baba visited other places in Ajmer with the women, including Anna Sagar Lake, Pushkar Lake, the Hindu temple of Lakshmi, a Jain temple, the tomb of Hazrat Miran Syed Hussain, and Chisti's tomb. The caretaker at Chisti's tomb objected to the Western women entering the shrine, prevented them. However, he seemed drawn to Baba and said, May God bless you. He asked him his name, and Baba wrote with his finger in dust, Meherwan. Before leaving, Baba contacted a mast near the shrine to whom he gave 1 rupee. The mast, on seeing Baba, ecstatically exclaimed, Oh, look! Shankara, Shiva is here. Hurry and have Bhagwan, God's darshan, that is, God's vision. Nearby was a tomb of Hindu saint, and Elizabeth asked Baba why the tombs of two great saints were so close to each other. Baba explained, very often a Mohammedan saint will sit where a Hindu saint had been years before, or vice versa, because this would bring all Mohammedans and Hindus together. A way of showing them that they were all the same. While at Taragar on the 18th, referring to the purpose of his visits to different shrines, tombs, or dargahs of saints and perfect masters, Baba stated, By my living presence, I clean the tangled atmosphere of the shrines of the dead saints and Sadgurus. This complicated atmosphere is of the thought world. Thought force is really very strong and powerful. Lord Chaitanya did not go to places of pilgrimage for the sake of pilgrimage, but for cleansing the atmosphere, which were full of the sanskaras of thoughts of worldly people. Footnote, please.
Chaitanya
Thank you.
Mahaprabhu, 1486 to 1534, was a Hindu perfect master who popularized the chanting of Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. So,
Yeah.
wonderful.
For my work, a pilgrim on the third plane is more helpful than the place of a dead saint of the seventh plane. But a well known dead saint or master may have a strong influence due to the multitudes going to his tomb. That is why I thin down the effect of this complicated thought atmosphere by visiting such places. At the time the group was leaving Christie's tomb, Baba turned to Mansari, dictating. A fakir once said, when I saw in my own heart the impression of divine beauty, the sight of God, whatever I cast my gaze, I saw Parvatdiyar, infinite God. They asked if Baba was the fakir. Baba nodded. Yes, he was, for he had spontaneously dictated these poetic lines in honor of Chisti, the Qutub-e-Irshad of his time, the head of the spiritual hierarchy. Baba had been to Christie's tomb twice before, in 1922 and 1935, and he visited it several times during his visit to Ajmer in 1939. As recounted by Eric, sorry, how do you pronounce it? Erich, right? Erich, yeah. One night, when Baba went to Christie's tomb while alone, he bowed his head to the perfect master's tomb thousands of times. Meenu Kharas arrived from Karachi to see Baba on Sunday, 19th February, and after a long discussion with him, left soon after. That day, Baba bathed all three mas Socrates, Lakhan, Shah, and Muhammad at the Mandali's bungalow, and Kaka and Adi Senior managed to bring Chacha there as well. Baba washed his feet and fed him. But the following day, Chacha refused to get out of the Tonga at the Mandali's, where Baba wanted to bathe him and cut his hair, and Baba instead took him to the women's bungalow and fed him there. On the 23rd, no amount of persuasion could convince Chacha to descend from the Tonga in which he had been brought. At 9 a.m. on 21st February, Baba and Adi Sr. went to Gustaji to the home of his brother or cousin who would who worked in a local distillery. The man had 10 children and a meager salary, and Baba was sympathetic to his saints and blessed him. Erich left Ajmer on the 23rd evening to make arrangements for the group stay in Bhopal. Next page, please. And maybe Eugene, would you like to read next? Acha, you're outside. 2 days later, Baba
Two
sent
days
the
later,
mass.
Oh, he's okay. Go ahead,
two days
Eugene.
later,
Please.
Baba sent the musts, Lakan Shah and Socrates back to their respective places in Ajmer with Kaka, who reported that the musts were most unwilling to depart.
Read the caption, Eugene, of the photos.
Ajmer, 1939. The top was Taragar Hill. The middle is Pushkar Lake, and the bottom photo the one used in God Speaks.
Betty, can you scroll? Scroll down a
is
bit.
in Utah that speaks.
Okay.
Leaving Ajmer in the blue bus in the pouring rain with the women at 7:15 a.m. on Monday, 27 February 1939. Baba proceeded to Jaipur, reaching the city 3 hours later.
Footnote. Most of the men traveled by train to the different destinations.
It rained the entire way. In Jaipur, they stayed at the Betty, maybe you need to continue because the text has gotten fuzzy
Oh, all right.
looking.
Chandra Mahal, then to the zoo at the public gardens. The British Viceroy of India happened to visit Jaipur on an official visit while Meher Baba and his group were staying in the city. Footnote, Lord Mayor, page 1992, footnote, the Viceroy's name was Victor Hope, the Marquess of Linlithgow. Age noted ironically, the Viceroy was received with tremendous ceremony by the entire town. While the true emperor was staying in a nondescript hotel, the emperor's play to keep himself hidden and make himself so difficult to find. Only pure love can welcome him. He allows himself to be received only by those who possess it. Only must heroes and advanced souls have that love, and the emperor surrounds himself with them. On Wednesday, 1st March 1939, Baba left Jaipur at 8:20 a.m., reaching Ujjain at 1:30 p.m. The following day, where Adi Sr., Gulmai, Chanji, and Jenu met them, having traveled again as usual by train. As instructed by Baba, Kaka took a bath there. After tea, Baba took the group sightseeing to the temple of Mahakali, the great Mother Kali. Baba wished to contact a particular must in Ujjain. As they drove slowly through the narrow lanes of the crowded bazaar, Baba peered anxiously out of the bus, looking for the contact. Does anybody else want to read at this point?
Such a man was not seen, so Baba opened the window and began gesturing to Kaka, who was walking alongside the bus, that the person they were looking for was doing something with his hands. Suddenly, Baba motioned for the bus to stop near a beggar who was tearing rags. Baba gestured to Kaka to hand the man a rupee, and for a brief moment, the must looked straight at Baba. Baba appeared happy and satisfied, motioning to Kaka to get in the bus, and they immediately left Ujjain. They arrived in the town of Duas at about 5 p.m., where they stayed in the Dak bungalow. On Friday, 3 March 1939, they arrived in Bhopal at 10 a.m. and checked into the Ruby Hotel, where they were to stay for the next 10 days. The Meherabad Mandali were unaware of the exact details of the master's itinerary. Pendu would be sent periodic telegrams informing him where to forward the mail and cables. Upon their arrival in Bhopal, Chagan began traveling daily to Itarsi, 77 kilometers to the south, to collect and send any cables and letters, perhaps to obfuscate Baba's exact whereabouts. And whenever Baba wanted anyone from among those at Meherabad, the person concerned was called to its RC, either by telegram or through correspondence. Baba contacted several musts and boys in Bhopal. On 4 March, 4 musts were brought to him. Baba was delighted and bathed them and fed them. Papa Jasawala arrived suddenly on the 5th and discussed his family's living arrangements with Baba. In Bhopal, Baba took the women to see its beautiful lake, Moti Masjid, Juma Masjid, and the palace of the Nawab. They visited Sanchi on 6 March from 6 to 11 a.m. Baba showed the women the great stupa in Sanchi. Buddha never lived here, he stated. His ashes are buried in thousands of places, this being one of them. Later, his disciples came here, meditated, etc., died, and were buried here. But Sarnath was the real place of Buddha. Baba met a delegation of Pathan representatives from Peshawar the same day, who were very gratified at their meeting. On the 6th, referring to the political situation in India, Baba remarked, all miscreants will be wiped out. Everything will be set right. Helen Dam fell ill with colitis in Bhopal and was taken to a hospital on 8 March. Irene was instructed to stay with her. And footnote. Helen did not speak English, whereas Irene did. Baba would visit them, yet his health, too, was breaking down. He was suffering diarrhea. He passed more than a dozen stools one day and had a fever. Mani, too, was indisposed, and Baba ordered Katie to give her fresh orange juice at 3 p.m. each day. Once Katie took the juice to her at 3:05 p.m., and Baba, of course, noticed her tardiness. He asked, "Why are you 5 minutes late?" Katie replied that it took more time to squeeze the oranges. Baba corrected her. "Because of your delay in following the order, everything I was trying to do for Mani and my work has become ineffective. There may be good reasons for lateness in all other things, but in obedience, it is an unfortunate tragedy." Rumors of war breaking out soon were circulating at the time. Hearing some persons discussing the current world situation, a must in Bhopal pointed to Baba while he was walking along the street and repeated, "He will uproot all these troublemakers and set everything right." And then we have a picture of Baba wearing Elizabeth's coat at Bundy Lake, 1 March 1939. In response to a letter from Delia in England, who longed to be with the group in India, Baba dictated these lines on 5 March 1939. "I would love to have you here with me, but you say truly there are lessons that must be learned, even apart from the physical presence of the Master. I teach you wherever you are. In my conscious state, I limit myself. So too in the conscious state of those of my circle. I also set limits. When I choose, I free them from those limits, but in my own time. Until then, be happy, content, and know it is all my doing. When I draw the curtain, you will understand all and smile at my game. It is all illusion. The pain of yesterday is no more. The joy of a week ago is no more. Only the present exists and the love you feel for your beloved. The unconscious self, which is God, in order to become conscious, has to go through this apparent opposite process of duality in order to become aware of its oneness with God and gain that conscious union with God, which makes lover and beloved one. You make the effort, and I will give you the victory. It is a divine struggle with purpose behind it. Don't fight against it. On 7 March, Baba wrote the Becketts about the purpose of his journey. This was a tour, not for sightseeing only, but for spiritual work. This contacting personally certain saints and agents had to be before I speak and manifest. Every day brings the great spiritual upheaval nearer, and with it, the terrible suffering that must precede the awakening of the soul. You who have seen and known me before this happens will suffer in a different way from the rest of humanity. Your suffering will be with that of your beloved, with an understanding that these things must be, that out of it will come peace and happiness, that with the world as it is now can never be. This will be your blessed opportunity of spreading my message. It is this killing pain of separation, which is love at its extreme height, that gives the conscious union which all long for and which all are here to experience. So all is worthwhile and for a purpose. Experience, all must have the experience of being the murdered as well as the murderer, of being the saint as well as a sinner, which is only a lesser good. You must see me in all to be able to help all. Never forget this, and you will never fail in your understanding and help. Adi Sr. and his mother Gulmai were sent to Nasik on 10 March to help Rustum deal with Frainie's continued unstable mental health. Pilamai left for Karachi the following day. Baba left Bhopal for Sagar on Sunday, 12 March, 1939 at 7:10 a.m. Helen, being still not well, was left behind in the civil hospital with Irene to look after her. At Sagar, they resided in the Dak bungalow. Baba took the women to see Chakra Lake and Aspatal Ghat. Footnote. Sagar was the place where Hazrat Daud Chishti had given God realization to Chajuddin Baba while he was serving in the army and posted there in 1879. The next day, Baba left the Dak bungalow in search of musts and brought back one in a tanga. The must had scaly skin like an alligator, and while giving him a bath, Baba scrubbed and massaged his entire body with oil. After feeding him, the must was sent away. Baba called him Magar Shah, Crocodile King. The Mandali heard that Magar Shah's scaled skin healed or disappeared 7 days after Baba's bath and massaging his skin with oil. Excuse me. The same day, 13 March, at 2 in the afternoon, Baba and the group of men and women left Sagar and reached Jabalpur in the evening. Baba and the women occupied a large bungalow arranged by Jal Karawala, and the Mandali stayed in another house nearby. Footnote. Upasni Maharaj was also touring the area at the same time and passed through Jabalpur on his way to Sikori, though he and Baba did not meet. No sooner had Baba again set foot in Jabalpur than he occupied himself with must work, venturing into the city to contact them. As usual, those who were brought to the Mandali's bungalow would be given a bath and food. Most of Baba's time during this period was spent engaged in his work with musts. On Baba's return to Jabalpur, Erich was sent to bring his family, Gaimai, Manu, Meru, and Merwan from Nagpur. And perhaps we can have a different reader.
Yes, I think Marin's hand is up, so maybe she could read next.
Am I starting at the top? The Blue
Yes,
Bus Tours,
they
1990.
arrived on the 19th.
Thank you. 1996 Blue Bus Tours, page 1939. They arrived on the 19th, and Baba assigned Katie and Manu the duty of cooking for all. News was received at this time from Nasik that Rustam's wife, Raini, had gone on a hunger strike because she was still so upset with Baba for not including her in the tour with the other women. Raini had stopped eating and drinking and threatened to fast until death until she was permitted to see Baba. Baba was therefore forced to leave his important must work and travel to Nasik and from Jabalpur in the hot summer weather. Baba was not pleased. On 15 March, he remarked, "Jesus was crucified once, but I am crucified every day, every hour." Mohammed Must actually wept when Baba told Mohammed he was going to Bombay for a week. With tears streaming down his cheeks, the Must muttered, "Dada, how will I live without you for so many days?" It was a very touching scene, and Baba too felt very sad and gave Mohammed a tender, long embrace, which no doubt gave Mohammed the strength to endure the separation from his beloved. And there's the picture of Baba with Mohammed Must. Baba left Jabalpur by train on 19 March 1939, accompanied by Gustaji, Kaka, Chanji, and 2 boys. They arrived in Nasik early the next morning and met with Rustam. Seeing that Franny was in a deteriorated state from her 18-day fast, 10 days without water, Baba pacified her and lovingly explained the situation to her. She had an infant son, Jangu, but was not caring for him properly due to her mental turmoil. Baba made her drink some milk, which he gave her with his own hands. This broke her fast and calmed the situation temporarily. Baba promised that he would call her when she became well again. It was settled that Rustam would go to an undisclosed place, known only to Baba. After seeing Ramju and his family, Baba left Nasik with Addie Sr. in Elizabeth's car for Mehrabad, where he met Bedul, Kalamama, Nilu, Padri, Pendu, Sidhu, and Vishnu. He told them about his recent tour, and after a 3-day stay, left with Adi Sr. in a Buick for Pune. There he saw Memo, Bedam, his wife Perrin, and their 3-year-old daughter Gulnar and 4-year-old son Sheru. Baba had asked Memu to call her sister Dalamasi to the house. Dalamasi came and kissed Baba repeatedly. Baba blessed her. His blessing proved a farewell to his dear aunt, for within a year or so, she dropped her body. This was the last time Dalamasi saw Baba. Baba continued with Adi to Bombay, where he stayed for 2 days at Naroji Dadachanji's new residence, 607-B Sora Barushka House at Dadar. Footnote. Who reads that? Me?
Yes, can you see it?
The family had moved out of Bowman Lodge in February that year. There Baba met Pleader. Pleader was suffering tremendously under the restrictions placed on him by Baba. Eventually, he broke down and wept. Baba was glad and said so, appreciating his frank outburst and smilingly emphasizing once again the importance of his special case. The following day, Dina Talati, who was grief-stricken over her husband Naval's death, came and Baba comforted her too. It was a very touching scene. Lost to the world and to herself due to the loss of the husband she loved, her life had become a burden, as she herself said. She heartily preferred to end it, if that would take her to her dear Naval. But a master's ways are different. They purify through sufferings to break the stranglehold of one's ego. This was a purifying process for Dina, a preparation for the future life intended and designed for her. Consequently, no amount of heart-rending cries affected the master. Baba, instead, urged her to cry aloud to give vent to all she felt, experienced, and suffered. The entire atmosphere for a short while rang with her cries of Baba, Baba, touching the hearts of all those gathered, filling some eyes with tears. Chanji described the scene. Baba watched her wail with a smiling expression on his face, totally untouched and unaffected, rather feeling delighted and happy at the good work that was being done so effectively. Baba returned to Jabalpur from Bombay on the 25th. A huge pile of mail was waiting for him. Among the letters was one from Alexander Markey, describing his idea of visiting India to make a film about true spirituality. Baba sent this telegram: "Approve your plan, my moral support and spiritual help." But as with many other such projects, no film was ever made. Gomai and Masaji were sent for, and they arrived at noon on 29 March 1939. Memo and Jalbai were to arrive in Jabalpur the following day, so before his mother arrived, Baba forewarned Gomai about Memo's jealous maternal nature and urged her to do her best to avoid the usual conflict between his spiritual and material mother. Although the quarrel served his own purposes well, At this time, because he was so preoccupied in his must work, Baba wished for absolute harmony among his companions and would not tolerate any petty quarrels.
Thank you. Uh, Vijay, would you like to read next?
Okay. Jai Baba. 1998. Blue Bus Tours. Also on 30th March, Padre arrived in Elizabeth's car with Bhagirath, 3 additional servants and the driver took around. A trailer had been attached to the car containing the cages of birds and animals from the Mehrabad Zoo, which Baba had sent for. Padri returned to Mehrabad the following day by train. Jal Kerawala received a telegram on 1st April 1939 informing him that his elder brother had died of a heart attack. He took the news with an equable attitude, which Baba appreciated. It's all illusion and not worth a serious thought, Baba told him later. Baba praised Jal's work for him in Jabalpur to Chanji. Jal is very sincere with an excellent heart quality, which makes him very dear to me. He may realize and see me in my true form in this life. During his mother's visit, Baba gave the duty of looking after her to Gaimai, advising her, try your best to keep Shirin Mai pleased and always do as she requests. Gaimai was determined to serve her well. Meanwhile, Gaimai's uh, Meanwhile, Gaimai's sister Banumasi Kerawala was in Bombay and was about to join Baba with her 2 sons, Dadi and Sam. Memo asked Gaimai one day, write to Banu to bring me fish from Bombay when she comes. But mother, Gaimai replied, eating fish is forbidden in the ashram. It is against Baba's order. Even the Westerners have to live on vegetarian food. This resistance is for you people, Manu said, not for me. Send her a letter. What are you afraid of? Am I not your God's mother? Gaimai thought, Baba wants me to do as Shirimai says, so I would better carry out her request. She wrote to her sister. When we arrived from Mehrabad on 6th April with Savak Kotwal, Banu Masi and Gaimai's other sisters, Gulamasi Sata, Banu Masi had brought the packet of fish, wrapped in ice. Baba was with the Mas at the time. It was Baba's order that anyone coming should not enter the Bangla in his absence, and also that no one should open any parcel when he was not there. Banumasi and Gulamasi were therefore waiting for his return. Sitting on the veranda, Memo walked by and seeing Banumasi asked, have you brought the fish for me? Banumasi answered affirmative and handed her the packet. This wristband is for you people, Memo said, not for me. Send her a letter. What are you afraid of? Am I not your God's mother? Kaimai thought, Baba wants me to do as Shirin Mai says, so I would better carry. I think I read it.
Yes, you
Memo
are
looked,
the bottom.
Memo looked the parcel inside and told Gaimai to cook it for her lunch. Gaimai prepared it, but before Shirin Mai could eat it, Baba walked in and said, I smell fish. Where is it coming from? Gaimai told him everything, and Baba became very, very displeased.
Thank you, Vijay. Uh, Meher Chand, would you like to read? Meher Kiran.
Yeah. Memo intervened. I have called for the fish. Why are you getting so upset with her? Baba said, Mother, you can have fish in Pune, not here. No one can eat meat or fish in my ashram. Who are you to stop me? I am God. You may be God for all, but to me, you are my Merog. The doctor has told me to eat fish for my diabetes, and you can't stop me from eating it. As this heated argument was going on between mother and son, two stray cats slipped into the kitchen and made off with the entire fish. When Memo saw this, she wailed, Merog, why do you harass me so? You don't want me to eat it, and so this had to happen. Now, do you believe that I am God? Baba asked. Maybe for others, she conceded, but to me, you will always be my naughty Merog. Baba had a hearty laugh, and those present enjoyed the humor of the whole incident. With Shirin Mai during the Blue Bus tours. On 7th April 1939, at 8 o'clock in the morning, Baba was driven in Elsbeth's car to Mandla with Chanji, Jal Kerawala, and a follower from Jabalpur named Dubey. For an hour, the trip went smoothly, but then the radiator began spewing out water, and they stopped the car to let it cool. They were 5 miles from Mandla, and the radiator was leaking, so the car would not restart. Baba suggested an unusual solution to their problem. To their wonder, he directed them to read a passage from the Bhagavad Gita out loud before trying to restart the car each time it stalled. Thus, they went to Mandla, where Baba held a meeting with some community leaders there and contacted Mus, and all the way back to Jabalpur, following this same strange ritual. Baba afterward gave the book to Dubey with these words, Don't give this Gita to anyone, nor lose it. It is my prasad. Baba permitted the Zoroastrian thread ceremony of Meherwan and Sam to be performed on Sunday, 9th April. Papa Jesawala came for the occasion and had the ceremony performed at a local Agnari by its resident priest. Masaji prepared a feast for the 200 attendants. The two boys were taken to meet Baba after the ceremony. The priest too wished to meet privately with Baba, but Baba, for his own reasons, refused to see him. Although Baba granted interviews to some of the sincere guests the next day. About one's family and children, Baba explained to Papa on the 8th, all your children, wife, relatives, and others, and your attachment for them is Maya. Truly, they neither belong to you nor do you belong to them. This connection and affection that you all feel is only for this life. After you leave your physical body, none goes with you. And even if they cry for you after that, it will only be a short while, a few days. After that, you develop new connections and renew old ones in your next birth. Then again cut off. Again renewal in the new life. And so on and on. It goes endlessly through lives after lives. You have had thousands of wives, children in your past lives. But do you remember any of them now? Or does any one of them remember you now? If this is true, and the contract is so short and ever changing, why worry and wail about it? Once, when we definitely know that this is all short lived and to go, why have any reliance or attachment to such things? It is like the 150 villages en route from Nagpur to Jabalpur, where you stop to rest, have a meal, and spend one night. You meet a number of people at every halt. You forget them once you go on to the next station. Life is like that. There is truly nothing that belongs to you. All is transitory and ever changing in nature. What belongs to you today will tomorrow belong to someone else, and the day after to a third person. So why worry over things that never belong to you? If you have no idea of possession, you will never suffer. So don't try to possess anything which will free you from any cause for disappointment or worry. And don't think of material prosperity and possessions through Guru Krupa, the grace of Master. Why? A true Guru whose mission in life is to keep his followers away from Maya and Mayavic possessions would strip you of this gradually, take you out of the dirt of Maya rather than let you deeper into it. And this means suffering, one way or another. But that is necessary for any desired progress on the path. Rather, that is the true life of the spiritual aspirant, a life of suffering and sacrifice that should be accepted with delight and with a feeling of being glorified in suffering. On 10th April 1939, the men collected 15 beggars in Jabalpur and brought them to Baba's bungalow. There Baba fed, bathed, shaved, and clothed each of these destitutes in new kafnis from 3 to 5 p.m. Pendu and Chanji left Jabalpur on the 11th. Pendu was sent to Bombay and Meherabad and Chanji to Itarsi. Chanji returned the next day. Baidul was on the same train from Meherabad. He had been ordered to proceed to Persia to bring his family to India to live in the ashram. Meher's mother, Daulat Mai, has been staying in Persia for a year by Baba's order, and originally Baidul's family was to have returned with her at the beginning of March. But Baidul's eldest daughter had fallen very ill and died on 18th March 1939. His daughter was only 18 years old, and Baidul had been feeling very depressed about her loss. He would occasionally sit alone, silently weeping, even though such tenacious men as Baidul had suffered to the master. They were not spared suffering such human sorrow. Baba met Baidul on 12th April and consoled him. Those who die thinking of me come to me. They are liberated from the chain of birth and death and see me perpetually. It is because you cannot see that you feel the separation. You feel very sorry. Feel not for the dead, for they have come to me, but for the living who are in precarious conditions. Bring the family back within 3 months. You have lots of work to do for me in the future. So leave your wife and children in my care and pay attention only to the work I entrust to you. On Thursday, 13th April 1939, a rare interview with the master was granted to a journalist. The subject of perfection was discussed at length. Baba explained, just as everything in the domain of duality is based on the proportion of degrees, so also is perfection based on degrees when concerned with duality. Good and bad, virtue and vice, strength and weakness are all based on degrees when considered in relation to duality. Bad and good, vice and virtue, weakness and strength are all aspects of duality. But in truth, reality, All are a degree of oneness in duality. Evil is not evil, but the lowest degree of good. Similarly, weakness is not weakness, but the lowest degree of strength. Perfection also has degrees when compared with imperfection. So you see, one perfection in duality does not include every perfection. He who is perfect in science is probably not perfect in singing, and one perfect in singing will not be perfect in painting. So all these perfections are in the field of duality. Have you ever heard of the perfect crimes? When murder is so cleverly perpetrated as not to leave a single clue behind, it is called a perfect crime. So even in crimes and so-called sins, there is perfection. But spiritual perfection is not in the domain of duality. All these relative perfections explained come within the scope of intellect. But the perfection of spirituality, perfect souls, is beyond intellect. When one is perfect spiritually, one experiences that nothing except God alone exists. To a perfect being, everything that exists under the intellect and under the domain of duality is illusion. So, for the perfect man, nothing exists but God. Science, art, music, weaknesses, murders are all dreams to him. His knowledge, his perfection is one indivisible existence. When this perfect soul, for spiritual reasons, wants to use all his power and knowledge, he does it purely for the spiritual good of others. He then applies his universal mind in that subject and knows all. To express everything outwardly is not necessary, but he does know everything. How? All languages have their root in the mental world of thought and are then expressed orally. But he, the perfect man, knows the mind of everyone. He knows the purport of every thought. Therefore, it is uttered. So it is with everything, science, art, etc. If he wants, he can know it even before it is actually manifested. But he does that only when he thinks it necessary. Then a series of
Thank
questions.
you. Thank you. Uh, um, Ralph, can you read now? Okay. Eugene, can you read now?
Yes. Then a series of questions and answers ensued. The journalist asked Chanji, does Meher Baba believe in the theory of previous births as mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita? Yes, Baba dictated. The whole existence depends on the law of reincarnation. Even materially, Lord Krishna was perfect. So aren't you perfect materially? Perfection includes all perfections, but there is no need to express them. Krishna was perfect spiritually. That means he was perfect in everything, but he never showed his perfection materially, as that's the material perfection, has no meaning and is in the realm of illusion. Illusion. He could have shown himself a perfect drunkard, a perfect sinner, a perfect rogue. But that would have shocked the world. So he did not express that. He was a perfect drunkard, perfect sinner, perfect rogue, perfect in everything. He must have been, because he was, above all, a perfect God. But was it necessary for Krishna to show himself as a perfect murderer? I have stated, when it is necessary, these perfect souls express their perfection in everything for the spiritual benefit of the world. I can be perfect in any mode of life I have to adopt, not merely to show perfection, but for my work. Every aspect of life is contained in the highest state of perfection. Perfection in the world, perfection in yoga, perfection in attachment, perfection in detachment. Baba then asked him, what is it you really want? What is it that you really desire and need? The man said, I am in search of a perfect teacher who can lead me to perfection and satisfy me. Baba said, and I too am looking for a perfect disciple who could satisfy me, but I don't find any. Tell me the truth. What do you really want? The man, somewhat confused, answered, I want to gain perfection by material ways and means. I must first find the ways and means to fill the hungry bellies of my starving countrymen before launching on a spiritual campaign. Yes, you are right, replied Baba. When people are starving, you cannot preach spirituality. They will not listen. Come after 15 days. I will then reveal to you something very simple. Helen Dom had recovered from her abdominal illness and come to Jabalpur from Bhopal with Irene on 23 March. After 3 more weeks in India, on 17 April, Baba sent her and Hedy Mertens back home to Switzerland. Chanji took them to Bombay along with Gulmai and Baram. They sailed 3 days later. Before leaving, Hedy told Chanji, tell Baba that physically I am going, but in spirit I will always be with him. There is none like Baba in the world. Age noted. Separation from the beloved is real suffering, and the pain of such spiritual agony, only a heart torn away from him knows. Tears are powerless to express the depth of such suffering, but the fire ignited by tears has power, and the beloved is touched by it. Once the fire of his remembrance is lit, it never stops burning and is extinguished only when the lover is burnt to ashes. This burning has both pain and joy within it. It keeps the lover harassed and miserable, yet the lover cannot live without it, though he suffers terribly. How can this wonderful pain ever be explained to the world? Baba went on an 11-day fast, beginning Friday, 21 April 1939. He drank only a cup of milkless tea in the morning and a glass of orange juice in the evening. He had told the women that once he began fasting, many big events will. During this fast, Baba was merged in must work. On the 17th, Kaka and Jalbai had brought a high must from Alichpur named Gulab Shah. When Kaka and Jalbai first contacted the must in Alichpur and were trying to persuade him to come with them to see Baba, the must told those surrounding him in the street, "There is one Baba who wants to paint me with the colors of divinity. But I don't want that. He has caught me, but I don't want to go. He wants to send me to the great homeland, God, but I don't want to go there." When Gulab Shah first met Baba, he exclaimed, "He is God himself." And pointing to Kaka, he complained, "You have tricked me." Baba sat on a mattress on the floor and motioned to Gulab Shah to sit beside him. The must said to Kaka, "I am not fit to sit beside him. How could I sit before the emperor?" When Chuggan brought Kalamasi, a high Mastani from Sioni on 31 March, the old woman instantly recognized Baba's greatness and asked, "Won't you let me have even a few drops from the ocean of divinity that you are?" Baba again contacted Magar Shah in Jalabpur, and in a village 10 miles away, another must named Dada Than Pal. Soon after this, he contacted a very high must in Mandla named Dani Ram Maharaj, who was also known as Loyawala Baba. Baba also went to Allahabad for a day during this period to find and contact other musts. The ocean was in search of those drops who knew the song and were singing their hearts out, age reflected. Its painful melody compelled its composer to find them. Regarding musts, Baba once revealed to the Mandali, "They feel so happy with me because they see Baba and know who Baba truly is, a thing which you, with your gross eyes, cannot see. They see me with quite a different eye, and this special inner eye sees my divine form." So, page 2005, still in 19. With your gross eyes, you can only see the playthings of Maya, this table, chair, etc. But the internal eye, which these musts have, sees through all these, and in them sees God alone. I love these lovers of God They care for nothing of the world. They are so blissfully indifferent, even about their bodily needs. All for love of God, while the whole world only craves and cries for things of Maya and rushes at each other's throats for its gratifications. These musts are true soldiers of God. Alu Kambada and her office partner, Dr. Paramanand, had returned from Europe and had private interviews with Baba on 22 April 1939. Chanji returned that day, bringing Rustam's daughters, Meru and Nagu. He was sent away again. He was sent again to Bombay the same day, and he returned on 2 May with a group of his relatives, including his nieces Arnavaz and Nargis Dada Chanji, and also Goher, who was living with the family. Meru and Nagu were in school, but would always come to Baba during their Christmas and summer holidays, as would Arnavaz and Nargis. Chanji also collected Rustam's 1-year-old son, Jangu, from Nasik. As related, Rustam's wife, Franey, had a mental breakdown and could not take care of her infant son. So Baba put the baby in Khorshed's charge and had him kept in the ashram. During this stay in Jabalpur, Jangu became seriously ill and was saved from dying only by Baba's grace. May 3rd was Manu Jesawala's birthday, and to celebrate, Baba asked the women to stage a play. Mani, who was quite talented at such endeavors, wrote a humorous skit parodying the present world leaders. Mani took the part of Hitler. Katie was Mussolini. Rano was Prime Minister Chamberlain, and Meru and Nagu had other roles. The skit was performed before Baba and the Mandali at 7 p.m., and all were amused. Exactly 4 months later, the Second World War was declared. No doubt Baba was working through this seemingly innocuous play by a few of the women. Baba would frequently ask to be entertained with skits. Once Rano played the part of a Parsi priest and had to speak her lines in Gujarati. She memorized the part well, but while on stage got nervous and fumbled with her words. Baba commented that he enjoyed her mistakes more than any other part of the play. During this period, Baba took the women on a return excursion to Marble Rocks. Do you have any idea of how fortunate you are? I am sitting here with you, playing with you, talking with you, giving you my company. Well, elsewhere, there are many who cannot die because they want to see me. They thirst for my darshan. But still, I do not meet them. There is one recluse in the mountains, whose eyelashes touch the ground. He is living for my darshan, but I do not go and see him. There is another who is 700 years old, whose hair has grown so long it touches the ground, as if rooted there. He neither eats nor drinks, but only longs for me. And yet I do not see him either, though he craves to see me. Why do I call you all here to me and allow you my company? It is because for births on end, you underwent privations by performing austere penances of which you have no idea. That is why you are here with me now. One day, Arnavaz was reading a letter from her cousin Nariman, who was studying in England. Baba passed by at that time and asked her what Nariman had written. Arnavaz replied that Nariman was going to Germany from England for a 2-year course of study. Baba directed her, write to him to return to India immediately. Arnavaz wrote as instructed, and her letter set Nariman's mind awhirl. He had received a scholarship to study chemistry in Germany for 2 years, and initially could not understand why Baba wanted him to come back to India so soon. But when the drums of war began sounding, he understood and returned as directed. The previous year in Panchgani, when Goher had become ill, Arnavaz was very impressed by Baba's mercy and concern for Goher. But the next day brought quite a different impression. Naja was also very sick at the time, and Baba forewarned her, "You will die." Then, tying you up with a long rope, I will lower you down into a ravine where a tiger will come and eat you up. That will solve my problem, because now you are nothing but a burden to me. Arnavaz was shocked at this quote unquote cruel side of Baba's nature, which she had never before encountered. She thought, ordinarily, someone who is sick is comforted and consoled to speed their recovery. But here with Baba, it is just the opposite.
Thank you. We'll stop the book reading here today. Eva, just make a note of it from the pages we started to end it.
Got it.
2007.